To understand what a trapped animal experiences, we must look at what immobilization does to its physiology. For many aquatic creatures, the loss of mobility is an immediate, life-threatening crisis. For air-breathing marine reptiles and mammals, like sea turtles and cetaceans, being anchored to the seafloor or caught in heavy gear means they cannot reach the surface to breathe. The moment physical restraint occurs, the animal's physiology enters a state of rapid, catastrophic collapse. Cortisol and adrenaline saturate the bloodstream, climbing to levels that would be toxic if sustained. Heart rates spike. In marine mammals and highly active fish, this extreme stress triggers a condition known as capture myopathy. It is a metabolic cascade where the intense, frantic physical exertion of trying to escape a restraint leads to severe lactic acidosis. The blood turns acidic, cellular membranes rupture, and the animal's muscles literally begin to degrade from the inside out. The body is burning through its entire energy reserve in a desperate, final stand, running every emergency biological system at once, waiting to die or fighting until it can no longer move. From the outside, this state is terrifying. Pupils fully dilated, muscles locked in extreme tension. When a human diver slowly descends toward an animal in this state, the animal's threat system does not register a savior. It reads the arrival of an apex predator at the worst possible moment. The visual profile of a diver matches the exact sequence of a predator closing in on a compromised prey item. This is why the initial phase of any marine rescue is almost always characterized by a sudden, violent escalation in thrashing. The animal's threat system interprets the narrowing of distance as the final, lethal phase of a hunt. And then, in some of these encounters, something shifts. The chaotic thrashing stops. It is not the gradual fading of physical exhaustion, but a sudden, deliberate transition. The rigid, locked body softens. The frantic movement pauses, and the animal orients, not away from the human, but toward them. It holds its position in the water column and watches. In 2019, off Western Australia's Ningaloo Reef, an extraordinary example of this transition occurred. A giant manta ray, a female known to local divers as Freckles, approached wildlife guide and photographer Jake Wilton. She had a cluster of heavy fishing hooks embedded deep beneath her right eye, trailing thick line. Manta rays are highly intelligent, possessing the largest brain-to-body mass ratio of any fish on the planet, complete with highly developed cognitive centers. As Wilton swam down to investigate, the manta ray did not flee. Instead, she slowed, stopped her massive fins, and hovered directly in front of him. For several minutes, Wilton made repeated free dives from the surface to work on the hooks. Each time he descended, the manta ray stayed perfectly suspended in the water, tilting her body to give him better access. Even when the physical manipulation of the sensitive tissue around her eye caused obvious pain, she did not flinch or swim away. She chose to remain still, allowing a human to operate on her body with tools. A similar suspension of fear occurred in January 2013 off the coast of Kona, Hawaii, when a wild bottlenose dolphin approached a group of night divers. The dolphin, later named Notch, had a fishing hook embedded in its left pectoral fin, with heavy line wrapped tightly around its body, restricting its movement. Notch swam directly to dive master Keller Laros, hovering close and turning its body upside down to present the tangled fin. For over 4 minutes, the wild dolphin remained remarkably passive while Laros worked with shears to cut the line. At one point, Notch surfaced briefly to take a breath of air, a critical biological necessity, but immediately returned to the exact same position to let the work continue. When Laros had to tug on the deeply embedded hook, a sensation that undoubtedly caused acute pain, the dolphin did not react defensively. Its alarm system remained suspended. The explanation researchers favor has to do with threat pattern recognition. A marine predator closing in moves fast with direct, aggressive trajectory. This specific sequence of movements is what the animal's threat detection system has been calibrated to recognize over millions of years of evolution. A human trying to help moves in a completely different manner. The diver approaches slowly, making no sudden, aggressive gestures, and focuses physical attention not on the soft tissue of the animal's body, but on the foreign material, the net, the rope, the line. The animal's sensory systems process these anomalous inputs, searching its neurological library of threat signatures, and find no match. There is no biological precedent for a large organism approaching a helpless prey item slowly, touching only the binding material and producing none of the chemical or physical markers of predatory intent. When the threat detection system fails to find a matching pattern, the crisis response stalls. The frantic cascade of survival behaviors is temporarily suspended. The animal waits. The harder question is what happens after the rescue. Once free, the biological imperative is to flee, to put as much distance as possible between itself and the human. Yet, the documented history of marine rescues is filled with post-rescue behaviors that defy simple survival-based explanations. Once the hooks were removed, Freckles did not dive into the deep ocean. Instead, she remained with Jake Wilton, swimming in slow, elegant circles and performing deliberate barrel rolls directly in front of him. Similarly, after Notch the dolphin was freed, he swam to the surface to breathe, but then descended back to the group of divers, lingering in their lights and swimming slowly among them before finally disappearing into the offshore darkness. Scientists are careful with words like gratitude. We are prone to anthropomorphism, projecting human emotions onto animals. It is possible that these post-rescue behaviors are the result of sensory disorientation or the gradual dissipation of extreme adrenaline. But we must also avoid anthropocentrism, the assumption that complex cognitive and emotional experiences belong only to us. Dolphins possess highly complex neocortexes and spindle neurons, which are associated with social decision-making, empathy, and rapid social processing. The cognitive equipment to distinguish between a human who causes harm and one who ends it is not beyond their reach. The honest answer to whether they know we are trying to help is that we genuinely don't know. What the data shows is that they measurably suspend their survival instincts to trust us. In those brief, silent moments of shared stillness beneath the surface, the line between human and animal thins to almost nothing. The water holds the secret, and the animals leave the question open.